What's up, people? I'm Shaggy the Opinionated Hippie, continuing and finishing my deep dive into the Mothers of Invention 1970 reunion tour, May 15th, 1970. I'm going to talk about this show, rank it among the other two. We only have 3 shows from this tour. And then just what I'm going to do is I'm going to recommend that you check it out. It is out there on the internets. You can find it. You're watching YouTube. It's on YouTube, so if you're interested in listening to it after this, I highly suggest you search it out. May 15th, 1970. What this tour was, basically, it existed, this entire reunion tour existed for this show. Frank wanted to play with the Los Angeles Philharmonic Orchestra. He had material that he was writing for this project called 200 Motels, and he wanted to perform it with the Philharmonic. Apparently, he was told, we'll do that, but you have to bring the Mothers of Invention. The Mothers of Invention had disbanded. Frank got together some of them. Ray Collins is here. Billy Mundy is here. Don Preston is here. Ian Underwood is here. Motorhead is here. Plus, he got Ainsley Dunbar on drums and Jeff Simmons on bass. Put together this tour. They did, I think, 6 shows, including this one. We have 2 others available apart from this one, both from the Fillmore East in New York. I've already talked about those. And this is the culmination of this bunch of warm-up shows into this. Problem with this, the big problem with this, is the sound is rough, especially in the Mothers of Invention rock portion. The part with the actual Philharmonic actually sounds pretty good and is, I don't know, pretty listenable. Sound, it's just much better. It's a Philharmonic orchestra being recorded in a venue that was probably designed for Philharmonic orchestras, so you don't have this like rock energy just, destroying the acoustics of the room. But the rock stuff is some rough sound. What we get here is we get a little bit of the rock warm-up, the Mothers of Invention, pretty much doing what they had done on those other 2 shows. Then we get the 50 minutes of the 200 Motel segment, which includes bits and pieces of a whole bunch of other Frank stuff. It pretty much feels like a 50-minute lumpy gravy, in which you have a recognizable tune. There's some little like connective tissue throughout that I don't recognize all of the connective tissue. Some of it seems to be a lot of stuff that would make its way into some form into 200 Motels. A couple of the pieces, I'm like, I don't know what this is. I haven't heard it. But for the most part, out of the 50 minutes, most of it you recognize where you are, like what song this is, what it's drawing from. It's a spectacular piece of music. There's guitar solos, there's a piano solo. It is absolutely amazing. That occurs in the middle of the show, and then there's some encore numbers, including a really, really interesting King Kong, in which some of the members of the Philharmonic, after already done their 50 minutes of work, decide to stay on stage, and there's sort of a King Kong jam session that includes some Philharmonic members and then a couple songs for an encore. And we get a drum solo. I am pretty sure this doesn't exist in the vault. If any of these shows existed, it would be this one, because this was the big one. Zubin Mehta is conducting the Philharmonic. You would think that if Frank had the ability to record this, he would have recorded this. Maybe they will find it in the vault, even if they just find the part with Zubin Mehta. That 50-minute segment is fantastic. We'll talk about that briefly. So rough sound, gets better with the Philharmonic, and the actual show that they put on the Mothers of Invention part is pretty similar to what we heard on the other 2 tapes. Intro, Frank comes out. Apparently Don Preston is not going to be on stage right at the beginning because he's vomiting on stage, and Frank wants him to stop vomiting off stage so he's not vomiting on stage, he's vomiting off stage. Frank wants him to quit so he can come back on stage. Then they play the My Boyfriend's Back medley, which I'm kind of tired of by this point. It almost seems like a comedy number. The audience is laughing. It's like this weird set piece thing. We're going to do all these old 50s covers, and there'll be jokes, and yeah, we'll show off our skills, but I'm not a big fan of the My Boyfriend's Back medley. I liked it better when Frank would drop these things in amongst a more chaotic 60s Mother set, and instead of having it be like this 3-4 minute set piece that we do, which goes into Tiny Sick Tears. Interestingly, 2 weeks prior, 1 week prior, I think it was the May 8th show. When they get to the Tiny Sick Tears part, Frank's like, I'm tired of this. I'm not going to do the monologue. Don't want to do it anymore. Well, this is the big show, so he's going to do it. We get the full lonely teenage monologue. You're in your room. He discusses teenager sheets. We get the cookies. We get the mouthful. We get the milk. We get the end. Doris parody. It's all here. Frank seems like he's in a better mood than he was in those New York shows. The New York shows, he just seems grouchy and complaining. This one seems a little more fun. Audience is laughing. It seems a little more lighthearted. I've come to realize in stark, real terms, I don't like Frank monologues when he does don't like Poodle Lecture, don't like this, not a fan of the thing he would do in the blue light in like 80, not a fan of I Have Been in You, that lecture. I don't need this from Frank. I understand I have to tolerate certain things to the genius of the other things, but this is one of those things I wish I didn't have to. Comes early in this show. But then that goes into, and I think this is where Frank is at his best. It goes into Agon, Stravinsky's Agon, a little snippet of that. And the contrast. We do these old 50s songs in this weird little medley. He goes off on this little rant where he's talking for like 5 or 6 minutes and about teenagers and his obsession with teenagers. And he knows it's stupid. He knows he's probably arguing with people. But then when he's done with it, he goes, oh, now this rock band's going to play a little bit of Stravinsky for you. And then we're going to go into a song called Call Any Vegetable. And we're just going to rock your socks off because that's what we do. So yeah, whatever you thought about that stupid rant I did, look what we're bringing you now. And you're like, yeah, you're kind of right. Yeah, I'll tolerate that other stuff. Then he ups the ante even more because we get Call Any Vegetable. And then when he goes into the Call Any Vegetable solo part, which is the segue into that is great. That that sort of build up descent into the solo section is beautiful. And then he starts playing Varèse's Integralis on guitar, like tweaking out these notes. And then they just do this full band version of this Varèse piece. It's dark, it's menacing, it's jagged, it's fragmented. They kind of bring it down for a softer part. They bring it back up for the conclusion. There's no solo in the Call Any Vegetable. It's this Varèse piece, Integralis. It's probably mispronouncing that. Integral S. It's just amazing. It's fantastic. It'd be incredible to hear this in like perfect sound. We don't have it in good sound, unfortunately, but I think in this tape you can at least get enough of it to like really appreciate how unique and special this is. And in the moment listening to this, I'm like, I don't need to hear this Tiny Sick Tears. And then he follows with this. I'm like, okay, I got to tolerate this kind of stuff. And then that's the rock portion of it. So after Call Any Vegetable, we're done with the MOI part. We go into the symphonic part. There's this little short thing where they're all kind of making noise and almost like a tuning session. Maybe Frank's leading them the whole symphony. And then we get a little intro from Frank. And then he says, all right, Zubin, hit it. And we get 50 minutes of just absolutely incredible music. It's kind of like one long lumpy gravy. Parts of Bogus Pomp are in this, which are parts of 200 Motels that would then become part of Bogus Pomp. We got parts of Bogus Pomp that I don't believe are in 200 Motels are in this. It's essentially a bunch of familiar tunes, like Pound for Brown is in here, Oh No is in here, Little House is in here, but I don't think Little House had been released yet, but it had been played live. The piano intro from Little House, we get the little full band version of that, including the little dun, dun, dun on piano. We get the World's Greatest Sinner final theme. We get some Holiday in Berlin, not yet released, but had been played live. So we get these parts that have been part of the rock band's repertoire woven in here. And then there's also 2 like 10-minute sections of stuff that would either find its way into 200 Motels or would find its way into Bogus Pomp. And they're kind of interspersed in here. It's an amazing listen. Starts off with Pound for a Brown with a guitar solo. The guitar solo is fantastic. It's kind of funky, kind of heavy. Dunbar sounds amazing. So we get that. That goes into Oh No, which is played at a pretty slow pace. Whoever's playing the melody is playing it like da na na, while there's like sort of some kind of chaos going off around it. Then we get some envelopes. We get and the premiere essentially of Envelopes, a version of that. Then we get some bogus pomp sections. Then we go into Little House, the piano intro part. Then we get a whole bunch of 200 Motels music. We go back into Little House. Then we get a really big, fantastic, world's greatest sinner, sort of like nice and grand final theme. Then we get Holiday in Berlin. That goes into the Inca Vamp, and we get a short little solo with that da-na-na-na theme. Then we get Strictly Gentile. We get some weird stuff I don't recognize. Then we get the Duke of Prunes, Who Needs the Peace Corps medley that was played by the rock band on the early shows. That's right here in the middle of this. That includes a piano solo and a guitar solo during the course of that. Then after that, we go back into Pound for a Brown. We get another like 10 minutes or so of 200 Motels stuff. Then we go back into Oh No, back into Pound, and then we close out with Eric Dolphy's Memorial Barbecue over the course of these 50 minutes. The 200 Motels stuff that we hear, the symphonic stuff, we get Redneck Eats, Centerville, Dance of the Rock and Roll Interviewers, Touring Can Make You Crazy, The Lad Searches for His Newt, Lucy's Seduction, Tuna Fish Promenade, and then Pleated Gazelle, which would eventually be released on the 200 Motels Suites decades later. And it all works. It just all works. And there are certain moments, like the Pound intro with the guitar solo, just fantastic. When they go into The World's Greatest Sinner after like some of the more difficult bogus pomp / 200 Motel stuff, that is a really big, grand, kind of mid-set vibe to it that works. Holiday in Berlin, just a beautiful piece of music. That Inca Vamp, it's nice, it's big, it's epic. The Strictly Gentile sounds beautiful. The whole Duke of Prunes, Who Needs a Peace Corps going back and forth thing is absolutely fantastic on that. Yeah. And then the whole ending, you got 10 more minutes of like 200 Motel stuff towards the end. That sounds absolutely great. Something's happening on stage during that last section because people are laughing. So there's, I don't know, Frank's doing something. I'm assuming it's Frank. Yeah, it's all so good and it all works and it flows so seamlessly. And they finish off with Eric Dolphy. And yeah, it's 50 minutes of wow. Like, it's worth seeking out, checking out, listening to. Yeah, it's like just lumpy gravy. He's made it bigger and added 20 minutes essentially to whatever lumpy gravy was. We don't have all like the talking and the monologues and the stuff like that, but it has that vibe of this, just carefully woven together bits and pieces of so much of Frank's, 60s catalog. It's absolutely beautiful. After that, they play King Kong, and some members of the Philharmonic stay on stage for this. I don't know which ones because I haven't seen it. But you can tell there's strings on here. There's like really, once we go into the solo section, it's like a lot of horns are doing stuff and it's kind of chaotic. You get some violins that come in clearly while there's just like mad King Kong energy. Like Dunbar and Simmons are kind of keeping the King Kong groove going while Frank's kind of conducting whoever's on stage at that point through some like improvisational King Kong madness. Yeah, it just really works. It really, really works. At one point, it just slides into this straight up like boogie jam with saxophone solos, and it's a whole new groove that's not even King Kong related. And then we finally, at the very end, go into we revisit Varèse's Integrales, and Frank leads them through another performance of this, but just with everybody who's on stage. And that's how King Kong finishes. It's beautiful. I think then the Philharmonic people leave. We get Plastic People with a lot of Louie Louie references, and that eventually goes into the Orange County Lumber. Oh no, the Orange County Lumber Truck. We get a short little guitar solo. We go back into Orange County Lumber Truck. They do a little jam on Linda Lou. Then we get a drum solo. Then the thing comes to an end. It's really good. Like, if it sounded better, it would be top tier, must listen. The rock stuff, it's a rough listen. But that 50 minutes of music in the middle with a Zubin Mehta, with the Philharmonic, you got to check it out. I mean, if you're a casual Zappa fan, I don't know why you'd be watching this video, and I don't know why you would have made it this far. So you're not. You're a hardcore Zappa fan. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here 14 minutes into this video. You got to check it out. I mean, it's on YouTube. It's May 15th, 1970, Mothers of Invention. I'm pretty sure you can find a source up there in which it's indexed. Jump to like it's 25 minutes. I think it's at the 25-minute mark is when this starts. I'm pretty sure it's about right. Check it out. It's absolutely amazing. The sound is, it's not great, but it's listenable, and great way. I think it makes that entire 5 shows they did before this. He put this band back together just for this. Well done, Frank. I think it works. Mothers of Invention, playing with the Philharmonic, 50 minutes of brilliance, plus the King Kong, plus everything else. I recommend this. It's a good show. I'm not going to put up a list of these 3 shows. We have 3 shows, the 8th, the 9th, the 15th for May of this tour. I think the sound progressively gets worse, but I think the performances progressively get better. There are moments of each show that are worth checking out. It's just how much can you tolerate the sound. But this one's my favorite of the 3. This is the one you have to listen to just because of that middle part. It would be so awesome if this was recorded and we could get an officially released version of this. I don't think that happened, but that's definitely on a wish list because this is a good listen. It's a good listen. All right, that's it. I'm done. I'm rambling. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this tour, on this show, if you check it out, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's it. On to, I don't know what I'm going to do next. Probably going to do 77, though the sound quality on those shows is kind of rough. So that might be a rough listen, but it's a sort of overlooked tour. So it might be fun to visit next, winter 77. But anyways, you'll find out next Saturday what I decide. If you want to encourage me to do something and I get a lot of push in one direction, I might go in that direction. That's what comments are for, people. All right. Thanks for watching. Peace. Talk to you later.